Hi guys and welcome back to my channel. Now in today's episode I'll be looking at the Cheltenham Festival and giving you some Ante-Post tips as we're just over 4 weeks away now. There's been a lot of indicators over the last week with this weekend and the Dublin Race Festival last weekend. I was actually at Dublin Race Festival last weekend. It was a brilliant 2 days racing and there's 2 horses that I took away from that festival for the main grade ones for the Cheltenham Festival, and that was the Mighty Potter for the Turners over 2.5 mile novice chase at Cheltenham, and also Galloping de Champs for the Gold Cup. Now, they're the 2 horses that I think will not get beat at Cheltenham, and I think they're actually very good value, as I think there's not a lot in their races that they'll need to beat on the day. I think they're both miles clear of the field and their main rivals. And now Galloping de Champs is about 11 to 8 for the Gold Cup, so he's a quite a short price favourite. I was initially surprised that they moved him out. I thought Paul Tannen's he just had him asleep and settled, and when he woke him up he was actually very, very strong at the finish. And visually being there at the racetrack, I just can't see why Statler will get any closer. There's no reason why Galloping de Champs won't stay the Gold Cup trip. I think that's a load of nonsense. So I think Galloping de Champs will just win. And if you're looking for an each way playing the Gold Cup, I would probably try conflate it around 10 to 1, 12 to 1. He's the only one who hasn't been sort of beaten, and you don't know his limit yet. So I'll probably take him at 10, 12 to 1. He's been laid out for the race for a while now. And he'd be going there very fresh, and he's going there on the back of a victory, which not a lot of the rivals can say they are. So I think conflated, if you want an each way angle for Gold Cup, is the bet for that. But I think Galloping de Champs will win the race quite easily in the end. Mighty Potter is 7 to 4 for the Turners. I think he'll just win. He was actually very, very impressive at Leopardstown last weekend. Just visually jumped brilliantly, was very strong at the finish as well. And I can't see any rivals taking him on. Banbridge, I actually backed him at Leopardstown last weekend. He finished really well at 8 to 1 to get second on the line, but he doesn't have the class of Mighty Potter, so I don't think he'll actually be able to beat Mighty Potter. Appreciate it, can't have now. I think it's a shame that he's 9. I think he's a bit old to beat these younger horses, so I wouldn't be having him either. So I just think Mighty Potter's clear of his potential rivals as well for novice chase over 2.5 miles. So Galloping and Mighty Potter around 5 to 1 double, so I'd highly recommend putting a win double on them if you wanted to do that. Now looking at the Supreme, now I might have mentioned in my previous videos that I'm not a fan of Facile Vega. I think there's a lot of hype about him, and this form is actually very, very poor really. Like American Mike has been comprehensively beat again today. Nothing from the Champion Bumper last year has actually gone on to do anything. I'm just not convinced that Facile Vega is as good as what people want him to be. He's as similar as Envoy Allen, Sam Crow, and these types of horses. I just think the Irish believe he's better than what he actually is. So I've been taking him on in Supreme for a while now. And although on hindsight, yes, you can say you're right, but I wouldn't be having him at all for the Supreme at Cheltenham. Can't believe he's actually 7-2 favourite at the minute. He can't win. He will not be going there. He just won't win. It's quite a strong opinion about that. So instead I'd be taking on with a couple of horses. I think Marine Nationale, he's the only one. I don't think it's a great Supreme compared to previous years, but I think Marine Nationale, who's unbeaten, has been set out for the race for a while now. He'd be going there very fresh. He has less questions answered, I think, than quite a lot of the horses in the race, and he just ticks more boxes, I'd say, than most. You don't know where his limit is. He's done nothing wrong in his career, and I actually think he probably deserves to be favourite in the race. Although he's about 4 to 1, I think you can get on him. I think that's a very fair price if you're going to look towards top of the market. Now, if Lucia was to turn up in the Supreme, I actually think she's got a great chance, and you can get 8 to 1 non-runner no bet with her right now. So you could have a bet on her 8 to 1. I would definitely take non-run no bet because she's likely to go for the Mares Novice Hurdle. But I do think after Performance Day at Exeter, I think she has every chance if she was to turn up in Supreme. I think she's very, very good. And I think Nico would fancy her if she was to turn up in the Supreme. I don't think it's a great Supreme, as I said previously. So I think Lucia, if she was to turn up, it would be a brave call. But I think in this year, she would definitely have a great chance. And I think 8 to 1 non-runner no bet is definitely worth having 10, 20 quid on, because I just think if she was to turn up, I reckon she'd be half that price on day. I think a lot of people would support her, and I think Nikki Ensign has a top mare, and if she went to the Mares Novice Hurdles, which she's 7 to 4 for currently, or 6 to 4 non-run no bet, I think she will just bolt up in the Mares Novice Hurdle, so it's a tricky one. But I think wherever she was to turn up, I'd probably back her. I think if she was going Mesnov hurdle, I think she's an absolute banker for the whole week. So yeah, I think Lucia is, wherever she turns up on the week, I would definitely be backing her. Blazing Cow was very impressive today on his return after a long absence. I definitely wouldn't be backing him or Tiupu currently for the stayers. Purely Tiupu based on the ground. If it comes up soft on day, I would back him, but there's no point gambling on what the ground's going to be on the day. Blazing Cow, he seems to be injury prone, so I wouldn't be getting involved with him Ante-Post either. I can't see him going off much shorter than his current price of 11-4 on the day. I think it could be quite a competitive race, but I do think Blazing Cow definitely would deserve to be favourite, and I think he'd be tough to beat on the day if he was to get there all fine. Now, looking at the Ballymore, I have mentioned in previous video that I do think Ante-Post will win the race, and I haven't changed my opinion on that at all. He's still 4-1 for the race. I think Willie Mullins, he just will have him laid out for the race. I think he's pretty dead on that he's going to turn up in the Ballymore. Now, watching Goodland last week at Leopardstown, I did back Goodland at Leopardstown. He was very good, but I just don't think he has quite the class, I'd say, as Ante-Post. Well, Ante-Post has visually impressed me a little bit more. There's not a lot between them, but if I was the side of London, I would be going Ante-Post purely because you also have the trainer Willie Mullins, just obvious reason for that. So I do think Ante-Post is definitely better in that race, and I would be taking on Hermes Allen, who I can't be having at all. I always take on Challow winner. Just it's a grade one at Nichols Targets, which is fair enough, but I don't think the winner of that is actually as good as a lot of other horses around. Now, if you're looking at the Arkle race, John Bond was very, very poor, I thought, yesterday at Warwick. Can't really see many excuses for it. He should have, even though Aidan Coleman gave him a bit of a chance to catch up to the one rival, he should have gone past him far easier than he did. I can't be having the rustiness excuse. I just think, I don't know, just something wasn't right about that performance. I think Aidan Coleman definitely thought about pulling him up. If you looked at his body language, it definitely crossed his mind, I think. As he was probably quite shocked himself. But I'm just not sure about John Bond. Before the race, I thought John Bond would win the Arkle. Now I'm not sure, and I think he should be bigger than 15-8, 2-1 to be honest. I would be looking at an outsider for the Arkle, so I'm not a massive fan of El Fabiolo. You know, he was very impressive last week at Leopardstown. Something just didn't tell me that performance was just 100% right in a way. So I will be taking on El Fabiolo and John Bond in the Arkle. I think the Arkle can throw up a bit of an outsider, but you need to see what turns up close to day, I'd say. But I wouldn't be touching either of those favourites for the race. I think they both have question marks, really. I know El Fabiolo has far less, I think, but I just wouldn't be touching them, really. And Champion Chase, I was very bullish about Blue Lord for his disappointing effort last weekend. Now, I still wanted him to turn up in the Champion Chase. I think he could bounce back and be replicated his run at Christmas. I still think he'd have a great chance. But if you look towards the top of the market, I definitely would be backing Edward Stone at 7-4. I definitely wouldn't have Energumene. I just don't think he's quite as classy. It's the Irish bias towards the top of the market, I think, again. So I just would be having Edward Stone purely based on the Arkle winners having a fantastic record in the Champion Chase the following year. So Edward Stone has that on his side. I think he's actually he should be clear outright favourite, I think, after the runs last time at Cheltenham. So I think Edward Stone definitely should be favourite, and I would be backing him if you wanted a horse at the top of the market. So there are some Ante-Post selections for Cheltenham, and I do think Mighty Pot and Galloping Deschamps double for the Cheltenham Festival is very good price at 5-1, and hopefully Lucia, wherever she turns up, will be a bang for the week. And I do think if she did turn up to Supreme, it could cause a shock for some people. But thanks for listening. I'll be back next time with another episode with some more tips for the Cheltenham Festival. Make sure to sign up for my membership. It's only £20 a month to join. I'm currently plus 21 points for 2023. So another profitable year after last year being 127 points up. So make sure there'll be a link in the description to go to my website to sign up, and let me know if you've got any questions. Thanks for listening.